Recovery is stupendous.
Achievable.
Hope.
Freedom.
Freedom.
Empowering.
It's unique to everyone.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Getting a new lease on life.
It's finding restoration after you fall down.
Recovery is having the freedom to enjoy life.
For me, it was finding a way to really love myself.
My recovery is possible in part because of my own sense of purpose.
Hello and welcome to Recovery Talks with Montana's Peer Network. I'm Leah Wetzel, Certified Behavioral Health Peer Support Specialist, recovery coach here for Montana's Peer Network. And I'm here and honored to bring you all a very important guest today by the name of Shane Morseau. He's originally from Battle Creek, Michigan, born and raised. He's been in long-term recovery. He's an Indigenous man who began his recovery in October 12th of 2006. I had the honor of meeting Shane during the White Bison Warrior Down recovery reentry coach training, and we've just stayed in contact. We're doing a series here at Montana's Peer Network on Indigenous recovery and wellness and traditions. And when Shane offered to help with this, I was very, very excited. I'm really happy to have you here today, Shane. So what brought you to recovery? What was life like for Shane before recovery?
I came into recovery unwillingly, if I'm being completely honest. Being in recovery was not in my plans as far as what I want to do with my life. Before recovery, I'm pretty sure we've all heard the stories of, drinking every day and all these other things, which is nothing to be proud of, but, it's a reality for a lot of people. And for me, it was a reality. I often go back to those chapters in my life just to kind of see what kind of progress I made as far as, spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally, because all those things were checked off. I didn't have hardly any spirituality, any morals or values. I didn't take care of myself. I was one of those individuals who accepted that this will be the death of me, and I thought I was perfectly okay with that, because I've seen several family members in the past, be taken away by this nasty thing called addiction. And I just believed that was going to be true for me. I didn't believe in the Creator as much as I do today, but I believe that the Creator has plans, and we don't know what those plans are. And next thing you know, I get pulled over and I go do the probationary thing, and somewhere in there, the light bulb kind of came on for me, and here I am today.
Yes, what a journey you've had, Shane, and what a blessing for those that come in contact with you. Why is recovery so important to you?
Well, recovery is important for me internally, and recovery is important to me externally. And the reason why I say that there's a difference between those two, and I say it that way, is because it has improved my life immensely, to where I'm learning what happiness truly is about, and that I get the opportunity to be the father to my son in a way that I wasn't really shown. And to me, that's very, very important. I could probably list a lot of reasons as to why recovery is important to me. It's because, I think I mentioned before, I grew up watching a lot of people drinking drugs as a kid, and we didn't question it because we thought it was normal. And so with that being said, we knew no different. And unfortunately, I watched my father pass away, and it's sad, but then again, that doesn't have to be a reality for me today. People are asking for me to help them, and that's not something I was used to. I was used to being 86 and told, "Don't you ever come back here again," And what I mean by the other way is because I want my son to be able to look back and say that my dad doesn't fit the description of those stereotypes the way that society has kind of taught other people how to view Native Americans. I'm pretty sure we've heard a lot of stereotypical things. There's a lot of stigma out there that pertains just to us. And as far as like the Native American role model, isn't that great and doesn't get that much notoriety. And so, I would hear stories about my dad, and a lot of them were not great, meaning drinking and going to prison. And he had some qualities, and I appreciate those stories. But I also have to accept those other stories. And the reason why I bring that up is because for when I pass or when I walk on, and that day will come, people will say, like, your dad was sober and he got involved in the community, and he learned the language, and he practiced the culture and the teachings, and he made those priority, and he wanted to show his son what it's like to live a life of recovery without drugs or alcohol. And he didn't just stop there by not using those things, but he saw that he needed to change as a person and to grow spiritually and to strengthen his connection with the Creator and the Creator's children.
Oh, that's beautiful, Shane. And that's huge, right? Because us as Indigenous, we deal with that stigma, we deal with that outlook on us, and really within us, going back to our ways, going back to our language, that's powerful. And you're paving the way for the ones that get to be supported by you, and you're leaving a beautiful legacy behind for your son and setting an amazing example. And our Indigenous men, of course, traditionally play a huge have a huge purpose within our culture. And I just really commend you, Shane, for being that idol for your son, being that leader within your community. And as we're speaking about your community, what is the work that you're doing these days?
Well, I get asked quite a bit to do a lot of different things, and I don't say these things to be boastful, but I say these things in a way that I'm shocked that somebody's asking me to help them, and it's useful. There's people who ask me how to say something in our specific language, and I'm learning two dialects as we speak. One is Bodéwodmi, and the other one is Anishinaabe-Moan. And some people see that as Ojibwe and Odawa. I'm also Odawa. My Noka Miss Ba. She was a Odawa woman from Manistee, Michigan. And, people will ask me those things, and people will ask me for medicines. We have our four sacred medicines at cedar, sage, tobacco, and sweetgrass. People will ask me to kind of do like an open talk, which to some people is viewed as like public speaking. I say that because I never thought I'd ever see the day where I would do anything like that. And, it really is amazing to be able to find the strength and the courage to get on that podium or wherever that's at. Share a piece of your life with everyone else. If somebody needs me to help them to go help repair our lodge, I find a way to make it work. Those are just to name a few things, but But where I pride myself on the kind of work that I enjoy doing is when somebody talks to me about getting sober, because that's where a lot of things started for me as far as this whole journey to recovery. It is just awesome to be able to kind of like be there for somebody in a way where somebody was there for me. And so I never knew I had the capability of doing something like that because I never saw myself in that light. I'm probably missing some other elements there as far as like helping out. I give people rides to meetings. I'll chair meetings if I have to. But I always go back to the place where I worked before, which was at the residential place here in Petoskey, Michigan. And I go back and I check on people. I donate old clothes, or if somebody needs a pair of shoes, I'll go and give them that, or just little things like that. Something I enjoy doing. I'm passionate about that.
Definitely. And I just love that, simple acts of kindness are huge. And we don't realize the effect that we have on the ones around us. And I also want to just acknowledge that when I started the Red Road to Healing Facebook group, Shane was one of the first to come and share his life story. We did these empower hours where people shared their life story. And so now we have that recorded and that's on Facebook forever. And I always go back and I look at those, and people are still watching those. And, our negative and positive situations we've been through, experiences in life, that is now our medicine when we share it. And I just want to acknowledge, all the work and the fantastic work, Creator is allowing you and guiding you to do. That's amazing. And I love watching your posts too, right? Like, because you always got some cool stuff going on.
Yeah, some of it's comical because I remember an elder in the community, years ago told me, don't be so serious. He says, you got to find humor because laughter is medicine too. And that's something I try to keep in mind. Don't be so serious and uptight.
Yes, we gotta have that native sense of humor, right? And that's like legit one of our, principles is definitely humor.
Oh, absolutely.
So how has the traditions and culture that you come from, how has that impacted your recovery and also impacted the ones that you support?
I'm glad you mentioned that because the traditions are huge for me and the culture is huge for me because they're one and the same. Yeah, it's just it's kind of hard to pinpoint those things as far as which one is more important than the other. Because like before, I was doing the 12 steps, which was AA. That's something I still do today. And I remember struggling with steps 2 and 3. And when I got introduced to the culture, that is something that kind of like it found me, if that makes any sense.
Definitely.
Like I got introduced to the lodge, and I want to say that my wife, she introduced me to this way of life. And if it wasn't for her, I think I'd be like another lost spirit out there trying to find its way. But there's something about going inside that lodge where you feel like your ancestors are there and you feel like they just welcome you and you feel safe. And I don't get that feeling with a whole lot of places. And all the teachings that they incorporate during, during our time of ceremony, it kind of helped. It kind of reintroduced itself to me, and if it wasn't for that, I don't know where I'd be. Honestly, I think it only enhanced not only my recovery but my spirituality, like as a person. And when the elders talked to me about like the culture and traditional knowledge. They said you can't have either one of those without the language, because the language plays a big factor into who we are as Anishinaabe people. And they're just kind of woven so smoothly together. And it's kind of like holding a warm blanket that your grandmother just knitted, and it feels personal, and you know that a lot of love was put into that. The creator actually gave us this language. It was a gift from the creator. I firmly believe that the creator knows all the languages. But he really loves to hear the sound of our voice. And the reason why I think language is important is because we have some ancestors that never spoke English. So when you're doing your prayers in the language, or if you utilize that language, it kind of like, it's like a familiar sound, and they feel drawn to you, and they just like come to you, and they would just want to like love you and like be there for you to help you, even though if you can't see them. I wish there was a ceremony every day, to be honest with you. It's just so awesome. When our son was little, I brought him to the lodge, and we brought him around the grandfather drum. He got to hear those ceremony shakers, those shishi gwins, we call them. He got to hear all those beautiful songs that were sung. And it was like community. It was like a community within a community, but also a community that I never knew existed. Culture knowledge, and language actually gave me things I didn't know I wanted. All of it's beautiful. Because of colonization, it took those things away. So I'm very grateful for the people I have in my life. A lot of people in my wife's side of the family are traditional, and I learned so much from them. And I love seeing that the older ones have brought their kids up in the lodge, and in a way which I'm kind of jealous, but I'm also happy for them that they've experienced that already. They were born into it. So all I can do is like make that possible for my son. So I could probably go on and on about the energy and the feeling that I get from the lodge, and all of it is Zagadoin, which is love.
And that's what our teachings are taught with, is love. And I totally agree. The recovery piece, the culture piece, the tradition piece, they really amplify one another. And us too, out here in Piikani country, we too believe that our language is our direct connection with Creator. And I love what you said about, he understands all the languages. And and that's sacred, and we're keeping that sacred by practicing it. And because of the disconnect of colonialism has caused, and because of the disconnect of identity that our people have had, having individuals like you practicing your ceremonial ways, speaking your language, sharing your story, because of individuals like you on this red road, is a big reason why we are coming back stronger than ever. The best way I can explain it is like something woke up inside of me. It was like a memory I had stored, because I don't say I'm connecting, it's like I'm reconnecting, because those ancestors, they knew, they knew, and every time we come forward, even in this podcast right now, I come forward, I bring my ancestors, you come forward and you bring yours. And that's a beautiful thing, and that's powerful.
Something that always stood out to me was there was an elder I was talking to, and I don't know how we got on that subject, but he was talking to me about when we're kind of like a slave, and we're wrapped inside that prison of addiction, which is drugs and alcohol. He was saying, when we were born into this world, we actually we're an energy that stems from that spirit world. But when we're born into this world, and the mother's womb is actually the first lodge that we all go to. We're born inside that lodge. So when we come out of that lodge, the mother's womb, we all we know is love and purity and all those things that kind of like intertwine with all that. And, we go on our whole life still carrying that love and that pureness. But once we start drinking or drugging, that spirit inside of us kind of gets scared because it feels like it doesn't know where it's at. Like, this is a different place. I wasn't born into this place. What is this place? So it gets kind of scared and it leaves us. And time goes by, and when we actually do get clean and sober and we start recovering, that spirit slowly comes back. It went somewhere. We don't know where it went, but it comes back to us. And it starts to feel like it's back in its home again. Because before, that place that they once called home was shallow, it was cold and dark, and now it's warm and sunny, and it just feels loving. And I totally resonate with that is because I feel like I was empty and I had not much to offer. But once I start getting sober, I start filling in, like, inside me, and that spirit was there. And that's not something you can read in a book. It's something you can only feel for yourself. So that's something that always stuck with me, and I just kind of felt compelled to share that today. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. The way you explained that, as like I could just visualize it. And to our relatives out there, call your spirits back if you're thinking about, if you're tired of living that way, if you're wanting to start living in a better way. Recovery is there, and there are resources, and it's time that us as the spirit beings, us indigenous, we continue to call our spirits back. I just really want to thank you, Shane, for joining me this afternoon. And so Shane will be joining us along with our other 6 panelists on our Facebook Live on December 16th. Again, thank you, Shane. It's been great. I appreciate you sharing this sacred safe space with me today. And I look forward to the Facebook Live. And it's just an honor to be able to kind of sit back on the sidelines and watch you do your thing, So again,
Thank you.
Thank you for coming today, my friend. And yeah, catch us next week at Montana's Peer Network's Recovery Talks.
Recovery works and recovery is possible.
Recovery works and recovery is possible.
Recovery works, recovery is possible.
Recovery is possible.
Recovery works and recovery is possible.
Recovery works and recovery is possible.
Recovery works and recovery is possible.
Recovery is possible.